I, a 28-year-old male, and significantly younger than my siblings. My youngest brother is 40, and he has a teenage son whom he's neglected his entire life. He divorced his ex-wife and quit his job to travel the world when my nephew was a preschooler and I was 16. His ex-wife remained a part of our lives, and we've all helped out wherever possible. Currently, my brother is in town for a while, so we decided to have an early Christmas celebration to include him. However, he's been behaving foolishly. In our culture, it's common to refer to elders as sir or mom. My brother became irate when he heard my nephew address me as sir, claiming I didn't deserve respect and was barely old enough to dress myself. I told him to stay out of conversations that didn't involve him. He argued that any discussion involving his son concerned him. The conflict continued throughout the afternoon, with everyone urging him to stop, but he persisted. After dinner, my nephew began calling me by my first name. I reminded him that we were in public and I expected him to treat me respectfully. He replied that his father said he didn't have to, so I asked if he was now choosing to listen only to his father. He said yes. Consequently, I agreed that he didn't need to treat me as an elder. When it came time to open gifts, I deliberately left the present I bought for my nephew in my car. The evening went well, with everyone exchanging gifts, except my nephew was visibly disappointed at not receiving any significant gifts. The following day, my brother noticed a new handheld computer at my house, similar to a Nintendo Switch, but a full Windows computer. I admitted that it was originally meant for my nephew. But since I'm not respected as an elder, I saw no reason to waste money on him. My brother called me foolish and tried to involve the rest of the family, who all sided with me. He even attempted to guilt-trip my nephew into convincing me, but I stood firm, pointing out that since he preferred to respect his father over me, he should rely on his father for gifts. Am I the idiot? Not at all. I was clearly told by both the father and the child that I was also a child, so I had no obligation to buy him a gift. Would my nephew buy me one, or would he be exempt due to his age? The same rules apply. If we're in the same category, he shouldn't expect gifts from me. If he's unhappy with the situation, he should show me the same respect he would as an uncle. Actions have consequences. However, this situation is tricky. This teenager, abandoned by his father, naturally seeks his approval. His father has created a situation where the child is caught between wanting his father's approval and the consequences of his actions. If he disrespected you, this puts him in a really difficult situation where he must choose between someone he respects and someone he desperately seeks approval from. Ultimately, he chose to disrespect you because you are the reliable one. He knows you won't just abandon him over one mistake. Remember, your nephew is not the idiot here either. He's a kid with a crappy dad, and your brother is the real idiot. Hopefully, your brother learns his lesson about trying to pit his kid against you for whatever ego boost it gives him, and instead puts his kid first. Everyone's the idiot here. You are an adult, nearly 30. Your nephew probably has abandonment issues tied to your brother, and will likely do anything to please him and gain his approval. Exactly, there's no way for this kid to win. The issue here isn't who the kid is willing to listen to. It's the disrespect between siblings, and the kid is caught in the middle. For that exact reason, I hope when Dad flakes out again, the rest of the family doesn't hold this incident against the kid. He's desperate for his dad's love, even though he doesn't deserve it, and he picks sides based on that. When the dust settles and Dad's aita again, I really hope the love of the rest of the family is there to catch this kid. On Thanksgiving, my daughter lost her AirPods. We found them at my sister's house in my young teen nephew Adam's bedroom. He claims it was a mistake, and he thought they were his, but the AirPods were still in the pink donut carrying clip that my daughter uses. Adam has made a lot of mistakes over the years, from taking gaming controllers and AirPods to toys he randomly finds. This has been an ongoing issue, and I think at his age, it's time for Adam to stop making these mistakes. I told my sister and Adam, He wasn't welcome in my home for Christmas because he made a mistake and stole other people's things. I don't think I'm being mean, but I'm sick of the little thief who faces no consequences, and I don't want him in my home anymore. Because of this, my mom is hosting Christmas. I made it clear to my family why I think it's past time we addressed Adam's issue. My mother and sister think I'm going about this the wrong way, and that I'm way too mean to Adam over a little mistake. But honestly, I'm just sick of being around him. I had to tell my kids not to take any expensive or new gifts they like to grandmas. I've also told them to stop sharing with Adam, and any gifts we unwrap at grandma's go straight to the car to be locked up. The situation makes me angry because I now feel like I have to punish my children due to Adam's actions. My kids are suffering because of Adam's behavior. They can't play with their things on Christmas and must be vigilant due to their cousins stealing, and it seems no one but me cares about how wrong that is. Adam has made many mistakes over the years, taking gaming controllers, AirPods, and toys that he randomly finds. What mistakes, indeed. Well, you can start correcting things by not using language that hides the truth. When your sister makes another mistake, say, Adam steals things. Call a spade and don't feel bad about it. If your mother, sister, or Adam have problems with that, then tell them to look at themselves, their words, their actions, and their character. You are not the idiot. I disagree. If you tell a child they are a thief, they will believe you and make it part of their identity. You have to word it as, until Adam learns to stop stealing, or Adam has been stealing without consequence. Make it about the behavior. If no one addresses his sticky fingers, there are no consequences for his kleptomania. And you, the original poster, don't have any mandate to do anything about it. You are entitled to ban him from your home. Educate your kids on how to protect their belongings from him, and warn them about him by name. He's a bad influence, and you don't want your home and your kids to be hurt by him, or worse, pick up those behaviors for themselves. They learn by example that being a bad apple has no shame or consequences. It's not even kleptomania. Kleptos are preoccupied with stealing things that have little to no value. Your nephew is just a thief, plain and simple. I had a thieving niece. She would steal anything that wasn't nailed down, making family gatherings uncomfortable. Sadly, we found out too late she had a serious drug problem. She stole everything to fund her bad habit. She left behind 2 teenage daughters, now being raised by her ex-girlfriend and her new wife. It sounds like something from daytime television. Don't let this kid learn that if he claims it was an accident, he gets away with it. He'll end up in a lot of trouble one day because of his sticky fingers. I, a 34-year-old female, am obese. I'm actively working toward losing weight and have made progress, but I'm still obese. As I'm typing this, I'm going over to see my brother and his husband for Christmas across the country. Because I'm overweight, I booked an extra seat so everyone can be more comfortable. I know it sucks having to pay for an extra seat, but it is what it is. I know Southwest Airlines has a customer of size policy, but I've had some bad experiences with Southwest even before I was obese, so I wasn't going with that. It's mostly my fault I even got overweight. Everything went smoothly, from checking in to security and boarding, at least at first. A woman comes to my row with a boy who appeared to be about a year old. She told me, not asked, to squeeze into one seat so her son could sit in the other. I told her no, explaining that I paid for the extra seat for the additional space. She made a big fuss over it, which caught the attention of a flight attendant. She falsely accused me of stealing the seat from her son. However, I presented my boarding passes, proving that I had indeed paid for the extra seat. The flight attendant asked if I could try to squeeze into one seat, but I declined, insisting on using the extra seat I paid for. The boy, whom the mom said was 18 months old, was supposed to sit in her lap, so he did just that. The flight attendant eventually told the mom to put her son in her lap. Throughout the flight, I received dirty looks and passive-aggressive remarks from her, And I did feel a little bad, because the boy seemed hard to control. So, am I the idiot? She's the idiot for not buying a seat for her son, and assuming someone else would give up a seat they paid for. It's likely she was hoping there would be extra seats on the flight so she didn't have to pay, using her child's lap as a loophole. It's a classic case of you snooze, you lose. It's unacceptable for the flight attendant to ever tell you to squeeze in. It's great that you stood your ground, but a more timid passenger might not have, and no one should be put in that position by someone in a position of authority. The flight attendant needs to be held accountable. Please report this incident to the airline you flew with. While no one can control the behavior of other passengers, the airline is responsible for the conduct of its flight attendants. You are a bit too apologetic in this story about your size. You should always strive to be as healthy as possible, but being overweight isn't a character flaw or a moral failing. We all have our challenges in life, and you deserve not to be ashamed of your body and yourself, even if you aren't currently meeting your goals. If a mom wants an extra seat for her child, she should have purchased one. She's not entitled to a seat you purchased, and you don't need to feel bad about her poor behavior. I, a 21-year-old female, live with my mom and stepdad. My stepdad has one daughter, Tia, who is in her 30s. Tia is married and has 9 kids with her husband, and they also have over 7 cats. They live in a 4-bedroom house, but as you can imagine, it's still pretty cramped. I haven't spent a lot of time with Tia, as she was already an adult when our parents married. My mom and the rest of my immediate biological family really dislike Tia and her husband. I visited Tia's home several times over the years, and it's always looked like an absolute mess. The house always stinks of cat urine, and you can't even see the floor because stuff is everywhere. The kids themselves don't seem neglected. They always look clean. It's just the actual house that's a mess. Tia's husband is also constantly working on DIY home projects that never get finished, which just adds to the clutter and chaos. My family normally rotates around hosting the Christmas get-together. Tia last hosted it in 2019, which caused an argument between my mom and stepdad behind closed doors. My mom said that if Tia hosted again, she wouldn't be going. As usual, the house was a mess. Tia's husband served everyone, including all the family's kids, seriously undercooked chicken. It was still cold in the middle. My mom pointed this out, and they threw it in the trash. Luckily, no one had eaten it. They had no gifts for anyone, not even my stepdad, who spent over $600 on their kids. I know gifts aren't absolutely necessary, but this felt rude. Then they unexpectedly asked everyone to leave after we'd been there for 2 hours, as Tia's mom and maternal grandparents were coming over. This year, Tia has volunteered to host again and invited us. My mom didn't want to go and said we should stay home this Christmas. My stepdad agreed this time, so we're going to stay home. My older biological siblings also do not want to revisit Tia for Christmas and told her that they aren't going, saying they have other plans. Tia was pleasant about it over text, but on Facebook, she made passive-aggressive posts about how her fake family doesn't want to visit her on Christmas. I may be an idiot because I grew tired of seeing these posts. I ran into Tia last week at the store, and she mentioned it to me, saying that she's hurt by everyone not visiting. I told her very bluntly we weren't visiting her because no one wanted her to host. She and her husband happily accepted gifts from everyone, but got nothing for anyone. Tried to feed us raw chicken, and their house was a mess. Tia and I started arguing, and she said that we should have communicated to her like adults rather than just not visiting her. But I feel like some things are just common sense. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Maybe because she always lives that way, she doesn't notice most of the things people object to. However, serving dangerously undercooked chicken, still cold in the center, is something anybody should have noticed. It's not nice to potentially poison yourself and all your relatives. The chicken by itself was a reason not to risk it again. The other awful things were just trimmings to the central problem. I feel like being kicked out after 2 hours is really the central problem. Don't offer to host if you don't intend on hosting. What a gift grab it was. Nobody wants to celebrate a cat pee Christmas. Taya should have the common sense to save herself the embarrassment. I disagree. She said that we should have communicated to her like adults rather than just not visit her. She's right. You are the idiot. Your behavior is immature. Yes, some things are just common sense, but sometimes common doesn't mean universal, and it sounds like no one has said a word for 4 years. Excuse me, she needs other adults to tell her place is a mess, the chicken is undercooked, and to buy gifts for others. And she has 9 children and 7 goddamn cats between 3 bedrooms too, if the parents have their own, which I'm very sure they would. They're self-centered, rude, poor hosts. Based on their current reaction, how would they have reacted if you told them like adults? Yeah, I'm with you 100%. I may be naive, but people think you could tell someone politely that gift-giving goes both ways and that their house is hygienically off-putting, and somehow believe those messages would be received well. But seriously, you need to tell people that salmonella poisoning is bad hosting. Lol. I've discovered that my Christmas gifts are going to be a vacuum cleaner, pots and pans, a cooler, and a Costco membership. I'm hurt and angry that my husband is gifting me these items, as I consider them household gifts and not appropriate Christmas gifts for a person. It makes me feel like my only value is cooking, cleaning, and running errands. The kids knew these gifts were off the mark, and when they tried to guide their dad in the right direction, they were told that what I was receiving was enough. I'm so upset that I don't know how I can properly communicate why these gifts are low effort and thoughtless. The only gift he gave me last year was a candle, which he promptly moved to his home office. Even my stocking was empty. When I shared how disappointed I was with the items being delivered to our house this year, he got upset and said he would return everything, as if I was ungrateful for wanting just 1 or 2 thoughtful gifts specifically for me. Am I the idiot for not being thankful for what he's giving me? Not the idiot. Your husband is outright telling you that he thinks of you as a maid and not much more. Instead of getting you something personal related to your interests or things you like, he's getting you a vacuum cleaner. Gifts are supposed to be given out of love and affection, and it's clear the only thing he knows about you is that you presumably do most of the housework. You deserve better. Maybe I'm petty, but I give him a taste of his own medicine. Don't fill his stocking this year. Give him a candle you later steal. See if he still doesn't understand the problem then. I'd go all out and add toothpaste and deodorant to the list. Maybe a shared bathroom garbage pail and toilet paper. Who knows when the next pandemic will strike? Or tell him a vacuum cleaner is great, as long as it comes with 10+ free coupons. Where he does the vacuuming for you, or pots with lots of coupons for him to cook dinner. My aunt gave her husband a toaster one year. He was so mad, he never got her a household item again. Does the house need a new microwave or toaster? What is good for the goose is good for the gander. Take those gifts, rewrap them, and label them with his name. Proceed to buy yourself awesome gifts and wrap them as if he did. Excitedly open your gifts on Christmas and thank your husband profusely, while asking why he hasn't opened his new vacuum and what he's planning on cooking you for dinner tonight in his new crockpot.